we have to make our chords. And to make a good chord progression, you can do it by ear, which is fine, but I much prefer having some theory to back you up there. It's gonna make you faster, and it's gonna give you more options basically. So I'll try to explain as much as I can in these short videos. If anything is unclear, you can always watch the video again. But there's also a very good short document on music theory. It's focused more towards electronic musicians, and it's called the Raven Spiral Guide. So you can always have a look there if you miss something, or just to get another source of information. So there's two things that we need to know to build a good chord progression. We need to know scales, and we need to know chords, which is kind of the obvious one here. And scales, there's a very good thing about scales. I'm just gonna worry about two different scales for now, which is the normal major scale and the normal or natural minor scale. So the cool thing about these scales is that here's something, I'm gonna say something, and this is something that you should remember. It's gonna help you a lot for the rest of your music making days. The C major scale is all the white notes from C to C on the piano. So that will be this guy going to this guy, there, 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 and then we have a C again, another octave up. Those are the notes for the C major scale. And if we make our chords just from these notes, you're gonna be good. At least you're not gonna have something sound a little bit off. You're gonna be pretty safe. Now the minor scale, so this is the major scale. The minor scale, the A minor scale, is all the white notes from A to A on the piano. So it will be these guys. There, 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 and there. So why this is good to remember is because now we can use this to start on every key that we want, because we know that the A minor scale is all the white keys from A to A. We can just transpose this, so meaning we can shift everything up or down. For example, if I transpose everything up one semitone, it's still a minor scale, it just starts on a different key. So if we just build this, we can move it to whatever key we want, and we have our minor scale. And that's because the steps are always the same. So you can see there's a whole step here. Normally when you go to the next key up, you call it a half step. So from B to C, for example, would be a half step, or from C to C sharp would be a half step. So we can count these whole and half steps and make our scale. And we can see here that we first go a whole step, then we go a half step, then another whole step, then a half step. That's because there's no key in between here. And then there's a whole step and a whole step. And that formula is always the same. So if I start somewhere random, like here, and I do the same thing, where I go first a whole step, I'll just look at my A scale, which should start on A. So I go first a whole step, then I can see that I have a half step, so I can do that here as well. Then I have a whole step, and then I have a whole step, and a half step, and a whole step, and a whole step. So this way I can build my scale on whatever key I want to start on. So just remember, A is all the white keys from A to A, starting there. And C is all the white keys from C to C. And then you can count the amount of steps between the keys, or you can just shift them up like this, and you are in a different key, but you still have that minor scale. So that is the first thing we need to know, and from this we can build our chords. So let's just, for the sake of simplicity, start in A. And I'll zoom in a little bit. And now I need some sort of way to make my chord. So I know that I want the root of the chord, the most important note, to be in there. Since we're in the A scale, I'm going to start with an A. It's kind of a sensible thing to do. This is the first note of our chord, and the most basic chord has at least 3 notes, so we need 2 more here. And how do we choose those? Well, those other notes, they're always the 3 and the 5. And if we take a look at that scale again, we can see A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Then we can count these steps inside the scale, and that's how we get our numbers. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. If you can count to 7, you're pretty good. So to build our chord, we said that we needed the 3 and the 5. So we just start on that A and we count 1, 2, 3. We can see that the C is the 3. So that's going to be the 3 of our chord here as well. Now I have my 2 notes, then I need the 5. So I take a look at my scale again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can see that the 5 is the E note. So this is my A chord, an A minor chord. So now I want some different chords. So I'm just gonna randomly pick a note from that scale. Let's say I pick this one, which is the D. Then I need to find that same 3 and the 5 again. So this time we start counting up from the D. I'm gonna put these above here, and then I'll just mute them, so I can always take a look at my scale. So this is going to be my reference now, and then I can see if I'm using the right notes. So this time we start on D, and now we need to count again from D to 3. So here's our D note in the scale, and now D is our 1. So 1, 2, 3, and we can see that the 3 is an F. So we're gonna put that right up here. And then we need the 5, so we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we can see that the 5 is the A again. So this is our D chord. Let's choose something else. Let's choose a C. We go to the C here. We do 1, 2, 3. We can see that the 3 is an E. And then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we can see that the 5 is a G. I hope this starts to make sense at this point. So this is how we get up with our chords. We just count inside the scale the notes of the scale, and that's how we get our steps. One last example. I'm going to start on E, and then I'll look at my scale. I go 1, 2, 3, and I can see that the 3 is a G, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we actually need to build further up, so we need actually 2 scales. We can see the 5 is a B there. So here are my basic chords. Now, one thing we can do to make this smoother is we want to make sure that it's more of a musical choice, but in a lot of cases it's going to sound a little bit better if the chords make very subtle movements, if they don't jump too much. So you can see right here, it's quite a big jump from this note all the way there. It suddenly sounds very high. So what we can do is we can transpose these notes up an octave. So that way we are keeping the same note. We just play it an octave down. So here we can see this is our A note. If I set this down, transpose this 12 steps like that, the chord movement is now a lot smoother because there's not such a big jump. So to do that, you always just go 12 tones down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11. I miscounted 12. And then you get to an octave lower that same note. So I can do that here as well with this G. I can put it there, and I can do that with this B. And here's another G, and I can use that there. So now we've made the whole progression a lot more fluently. Alright, and we can just keep on doing this. Let's do something weird here. I'll go for this guy all the way up there, and I count my 1, 2, 3, which brings me here, and then I count to 5, which brings me here. Then I'll put some note here, and I'll go 1, 2, 3. So I count inside the scale and 5. Then here I'll go for, let's try this F. 1, 2, 3. I go to an A. 1, 2, 4, 5. I go to an C. So again, I chose the F note. So I'm gonna look at the scale. I'm gonna say this is F. I count 1, 2, 3, which brings me an A. That's the first note here. And then if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it would get me to C. So that's my third note there. So now we have some new chords here, and I'll put in another one here. And I've done this a lot of times already, so I don't actually need to count anymore. But in the beginning, that's very useful, and then after a while, you'll just see it right away. Okay, so we've got some new chords here. Now we want to match them with this progression, otherwise this is gonna sound terrible. So I'm gonna transpose these two notes down, and maybe this one as well. And I can do that here, and in Logic the key command for that I think is Option Shift and then down arrow, and then it jumps an octave. So there, and now you can see that an interesting thing starts to happen. The whole progression is going a little bit downwards. Everything moves a little bit down, and this generally keeps a it gives more of a sad, perhaps, feeling where music is going down. It's not very uplifting and happy in a lot of cases. What I can do is I can try this going up again for the last few chords. In a lot of cases that sounds alright. That's alright. I didn't really like that last chord. So I think what I'm gonna do there is I'm gonna do something that's a little bit out of the scope of this tutorial, but remember that we were working just inside the scale. That is like the common thing to do, but there are a few exceptions where you can do something else. And one of those exceptions, and this is a tricky one, so don't feel bad if you don't get it at once, but one of those exceptions is that the 5 chord of any scale. So now you're saying, what the hell is a 5 chord? Well, we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Apparently the E is our 5 chord. We can call it the 5 chord. So if I were to say make a 1, 5, 4 progression, then the 1 would be the A, the 5 would be the E, and the 4 would be the D. So now you know that this is your 5 chord. And the exception is that on the 5 chord we can always use a major chord. We can use a chord that is not in the minor scale naturally on that 5 step. And to do that, I'm gonna choose this note right here, which is in this case I think it will be called a G sharp, and I use that instead of the white note. And this is tricky because now we already start to lose the rule when we work inside the scale, but just remember this is a good one. So the A was right here. This black note, which is the G sharp or A flat, we can use that because it's very close to the A, and it's giving us a lot of tension because it really wants to be an A. And if I do this chord before I go back to A here at the beginning, it's gonna sound a lot stronger because you're making tension, which is what music is all about. So listen to this difference. When I put the normal G note there, that sounds alright, but this gives us way more tension. You can hear how that really wants to go back there. If I don't do that, if I leave this chord hanging sort of in the air without playing an A chord after that, you're gonna feel sort of not like something else still needs to happen. You sort of feel that tension. That's what this chord, it does that. It's natural. You only feel at ease when after that I do this. So that's a very short, basic intro to chords and scales. Again, if you don't get that, check out the Raven Spiral Guide or some other videos, some Wikipedia pages. Worry about these things: the minor scale, the major scale, and how to build chords. Because so far we've only talked about 3-note chords. There are also 7-note chords, which are also interesting and good to use. I won't go into that for this though. Let's in the next video take a look at some more sound design.